come Scatterboo, Connor, don't encourage him. I'm not going to lie, I do morph into a different character when it's just a two-man show.
Yeah.
We have more time.
Yes.
I feel like, I don't have to toss the other person.
Yeah.
We can kind of stick on the really bad jokes and bits.
I feel like all the other shows you do, of which there are many, they are all two-man jobs.
Typically, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is the one where I have to kind of wrangle the zoo animals.
Right.
Yeah, this is my true babysitting job. But not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today. Screw Jay. Do we even need him back tomorrow?
Let's be careful there, because we might need him back at some point. A lot of people saying that my tribute to Jay is wearing a hoodie today, and to that I say you are correct.
Yeah.
This is my tribute to
Fair.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. Happy backup producer Pete Day, Connor Rogers, Jay Croucher, Matthew Berry's chair.
This is his Halloween outfit. He's a ghost.
You can't see him.
Yeah.
He's actually sitting there.
Screw Jay in the intro. Jay's here. Jay's here. Unbelievable.
Right, back to the two-man show.
I believe my my punctuality was questioned yesterday.
But here you are.
Here I am.
I even watched you on NBC and Peacock last night on the NBA pregame show for my beloved Knicks.
Yeah, I was also there.
Right.
On time as well.
Right, in a suit.
Yeah, in a suit.
Right, and now you're a little bit more casual.
Yeah.
It is a Wednesday. It is a backup producer, Pete Day. I'm here for my true babysitting job. We always do keep it open or close it out. We will continue that on Wednesday to answer your start-sit questions. Blind Date will make its return. We have a new little feature, by the way, before we get to Blind Date that I think everybody's really going to like that has to do with our jersey wall. And as always, we will get you our futures bets, our Back to the Futures. So let's jump right into it. The Rotoworld Player news right now. And we start with a little bit of injury news here, Jay. Isiah Pacheco, week to week with an MCL sprain. We didn't know what this ultimately was when he walked out. And he looked optimistic on the sideline after he was, working with some different trainers. But now week to week, not day to day, as we show the running back comparison and try to figure out what this backfield will be going forward.
Yeah, he's optimistic because he avoided the worst, and he's going to come back. But in the meantime, just another installment in the nightmare of the Kansas City backfield. I think Kareem Hunt, he was a viable option at times last year. Suspect that he's going to still be the goal line guy, the guy who gets the bulk of the work. But Brashad Smith becomes a little bit more interesting, primarily as a pass-catching back. But I think both of these guys should be rostered now. You just want shares of the Kansas City offense, which looks like it's back to being, I won't say the best in the league because my Indianapolis Colts exist, but one of the top two offenses in the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think everybody will be keeping an eye on if this is a team that makes a move at the deadline, because you kind of get an answer either way. If they make a move, it'll be easier to project what that player does. If they don't make a move, maybe they're a little bit more optimistic about Brashard Smith to be the change of pace to Kareem Hunt's plunging into the end zone act.
What do you think about Brashad Smith's talent level and his ability to scale up?
So this is someone that moved from wide receiver to running back in college, did it at a really high level, and this is the exact pathway that existed for Tyrone Tracy, and he's kind of a similar player. So I would like to see them give him a bigger look, honestly, but you never know how comfortable they're going to be with the rookie.
Oh, the great Matthew Berry.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Hello, Matthew Berry.
Yeah.
What do you think about Kareem Hunt and Brashad Smith, Matthew?
I think they're running backs for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah?
No, I think that I think this is what we sort of talked about before. My expectation here is that you think back to sort of when Pacheco was a rookie or a young player in the NFL, where he was sort of the early down back, and they used Jerick McKinnon very effectively in that offense, kind of as a passing down back, try to get some, get some speed, get him into space. Now, they have more speed at the wide receiver position than they did back then, but still, that sort of feels like, I don't think Kareem Hunt, can he handle a large workload? Sure. What's 20 carries at 3 yards a carry versus 15. He's going to be inefficient regardless of what he does. He will get the goal line work. He will be the running back you want just because he's always got a chance to fall into the end zone. They'll use him in the early down stuff. But I think you've seen Brashard Smith's usage continue to increase. We know there's an explosiveness there, and then maybe a three-man backfield becomes a two-man backfield, which becomes a little bit more interesting.
All right, let's get into keep it open or close it out, because I think we're hopefully going to get answers on this Chiefs backfield as the weeks go on. Once again, if they make a move, if they don't make a move. But let's get into our start-sit dilemmas going into the week as we look at your rankings, Matthew. And we have to talk about Jared Goff, who only has 2 games this year with 18-plus points. He does come in as a top 20 play for you this week, so obviously super flex viable. But the question is this someone you can continue to start in a one quarterback format anymore? A guy that's been so reliable, lower ceiling, but that high floor seems to be gone recently.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is that they are so good. We've seen this before sometimes. And so, it's interesting. The projections have them around 250 yards, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. You're like, oh, that's a pretty good game. But then you think about some of the other, the Matthew Staffords of the world, some of the other pocket passers. And then just, when I ran the projections, when I did the numbers, like randomly, he winds up as a low-end QB2. So I am closing it out. I mean, it's worth noting that so far this season, only one team in the NFL is lower in pass rate than the Detroit Lions because they run the ball so effectively. As you mentioned, they're over touchdown favorite at home. Probably not going to have to throw. Like, he'll probably still get Amon-Ra for one as well. But, like, literally, he has one top 10 week on the season. He's finished higher than QB 17 only twice this year. So, love the player, love the offense. Probably the best team in the NFL, but I'm closing it out.
Yeah, I think the thing with Goff, Connor, is that I don't think he's been as good this year. He's had really shaky games, thought he played really poorly against the Bucs. He's still a good quarterback. He's still the steward of what is, I think, a top 2 team in the NFL. I'd probably have them, again, no disrespect to my Colts, but I'd probably have them second behind the Chiefs, right there with the Packers, and then Colts, Rams, Bills, and so forth. But it just seems like they're so dominant running the ball, and that Goff, he's still going to rack up touchdown passes because they're in scoring position so often, but the ceiling doesn't seem to be there this year.
And that right there is almost the problem with this offense that we talk about so much, is that Amon-Ra, you know exactly what you'll get from him, but you have the wild variance of Jameson Williams. Even Sam Laporta is pretty high variance, and it's kind of trickled to Goff because, Matthew, they are so good and consistent running the ball. They are committed to running the ball with 2 different guys. And John Morton, I think that was the priority when he took over the offensive coordinator job from Ben Johnson, and maybe they don't have to have this advanced pass game or throw it around in the scripts that they're playing in.
I agree. I agree. Look, I mean, the hope here is coming out of the bye that maybe they're a little bit better, right? Is that that they're a little bit better. It is worth noting the Raiders have allowed 8 touchdowns to running backs over their last 5 games, so like it's a good matchup here, right? As well. So I'm reluctantly keeping it open here, Jay.
Yep. No, I mean, yeah, we'll see. With Travis Etienne, I'm very interested in this Jags offense overall.
Right.
Where mainly I'm interested in Travis Hunter, who I think is one of the most fascinating players the rest of the season. But Etienne, just how the offense looks. I mean, we forget this team beat the Chiefs on primetime, and since then they've fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you got basically poleaxed by Seattle, then absolutely poleaxed in London by the Rams. Trevor Lawrence does not look good, and he is so key for Etienne's value in getting in scoring position. But ultimately, they're 3 pushing towards 3.5-point favorites, the Jags. So theoretically, this should be a favorable matchup. You can't really ever trust Travis Etienne, but I think you can use him.
Yeah, the hope here obviously is that they fixed a lot of things during the bye week, right? And the workload is there. One game this year with fewer than 15 touches. Look, his fantasy, he's not really involved in the passing game. The fantasy value has been, kind of pushed up by some of these long runs. But again, given the matchup, given the buys, the teams that are on bye this week, the hope that they've improved the offense out of the buys.
Right.
I'm at running back 17 this week. Like I said, I am reluctantly keeping it open, right? I mean, as you see it right there, he's been bad the last couple of weeks, but if there's a positive, he's still getting double-digit touches as part of this offense. And a couple of tough matchups. I mean, I know they got waxed by the Rams. The Rams are a good defense.
100%. And also, maybe you just hope for some positive regression in the touchdown area. I mean, it's just the fact that he hasn't scored makes such a difference in the average points per game. That's going to trend back at some point.
Yeah, there's some interesting value propositions in this game. In my fantasy league with some buddies back home in Australia, I had a trade lined up for the guy, Sean Carlos, who has Ken Walker on his team. And he wanted to trade Ashton Genty to me for Travis Etienne and Zach Charbonnet. And I was like, oh, I'll absolutely do that. I'll buy into the upside of Ashton Genty. We agreed to the trade, me and Sean, and then he knifed me. And he traded Ashton Genty and Amon-Ra St. Brown to another guy for Jonathan Taylor. Which, to be fair, he got Jonathan Taylor instead of Zach Charbonnet. But still, it was still a knifing.
It was a knifing, but here's the problem. As you know, Australia is filled with thieves.
Yes,
Right.
by
Can't
definition.
trust- yeah, you
It is
can't-
in the blood.
It's literally, so
Yeah.
you can't trust an Australian.
No.
This is your own fault
Yes, it's
for
true.
trusting an Australian.
Yeah, next time there will have to be something legally binding, apparently in this league. So there are no friends in the trade game.
No.
It was only a verbal agreement?
Yeah, it was only a verbal
Yeah,
agreement.
in Australia,
no
that
signature.
doesn't mean much.
But I will say this, and this drives me crazy, and this is something I've ranted about before. I won't do it now. But what drives me crazy is that, to me, that's a trade. Like the people are like, oh, well, we didn't put it through the system.
Yeah.
That's just the paperwork. Now, like
Right.
if you and I negotiate a trade,
Yeah.
and I say done deal, and you say done deal, and we shake on it, whether it's virtually or like you know, it's a done deal. Like don't try to make a legal loophole with the paperwork. You know what I mean? Like a deal is a deal. You're gonna think I'm being crazy because it's a fake football trade. But I'm a big believer that your word should mean something. That I'm dead serious. Like there's a lot of criticisms you can make about me, all of which are true. But I will say this: when I tell you something, I mean it and I follow through on that. Like I am,
Barring like a ridiculous injury or something like that can kill a trade. That's
well,
the only
sure. I mean, but I'm sure, but not even then. Like here would in that scenario, like you guys have agreed to that trade, and then 3 hours later, it comes out that, Ashton Genty gets injured at practice and he's, done for the year or whatever, right? Trade should still go through. You guys agreed to a trade.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, like it is what it is. It's horrible luck, but it doesn't mean the trade should be undone. Like at the time he was healthy, you guys both made a trade, and just welcome to football. Like that's bad luck.
No, I explained what Sean did to my 7, 5, and 3-year-old daughters, and they were all horrified.
Yeah, of course.
It's a good life lesson.
It is a good life
You can't
lesson.
trust anyone in this caper
Especially
anymore.
Australians.
Yeah, my 3-year-old was like, oh, you planned for the Raiders changing their offensive game plan in the bye week. You had all these things that you're looking forward to, Dad. Now it's all taken away from you. And you're stuck with Zach Charbonnet on your bench and the hope from Travis Etienne to break one.
I hope you're happy, Sean. You made a 3-year-old girl cry.
Let me ask
Nice
you,
job.
did you find out about his new trade just on your league, or did he text you and tell you about the new trade?
No, I was just in the group chat. It just went through without
That's
me.
really
It's
bad.
unbelievable.
So,
I was scrolling
really
through. I
bad.
said,
so
why
in
isn't the trade being
essence,
accepted?
it's like the equivalent of like you have a date with a girl.
Yeah.
She cancels saying like, I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling well.
Yeah.
And you go out to the local pub, and then there she is
She's
with
doing
another
shots.
dude.
Yes.
I'm just like, I'm
You're
scrolling
right.
through the chat and it's like, Jonathan Taylor got traded? Why did Jonathan Taylor? He got traded to Sean? What's going on here? Unbelievable. I can't believe it. It's in
outrageous.
shambles. Yeah.
Yes.
That is a tough scene. Another tough scene is now figuring out the Carolina backfield. Rico Dowdle keeps passing the eye test, but just not enough opportunity with Chuba Hubbard back. Dave Canales spoke on Rico outperforming Chuba in recent games.
Yeah, it's a fair observation, and Chuba's meant a lot to this organization, certainly to the identity that we wanted to build our team on, and wanted to give Chuba the opportunity to go out there and to continue to impact our team in a positive way. We cannot ignore the fact that Rico has been exceptional, in a couple of games, and then in the opportunities he's had over the last 2 weeks, he's made some excellent plays. Love the tempo and violence that he's running with, and these are all things that we're talking about and working through this week as we look back, on these last 4 games and really taking a snapshot of what's been successful for us. These are conversations that we do definitely have to have.
So that was Dave Canales being pretty open and honest about
Yes.
the situation.
Dave Canales is open and honest about a lot of stuff that he probably shouldn't be.
Right, he
Candidly,
kinda-
if you go
yeah.
through some of the history there. But specific to the running back, we appreciate it. Listen, like as fantasy managers and analysts trying to figure out what this Carolina running back room looks like, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll see, because it's only been 8 points per game in the 2 games since Chuba's been back, Jay. So will they actually lean into Rico, and is that a risk that fantasy managers can afford right now?
The issue is that they're like 14-point dogs almost in Green Bay this week. So, yeah, I think Rico Dowdle is the guy that you want in that backfield. But, I mean, this is one of the more fraudulent 4-4 teams that we've ever seen. It's unbelievable that the team that showed up against the Bills on the weekend went into that game with a winning record through 7 weeks of the NFL season. But you look at the comparison between the secondary Chubler in Chuba Hubbard and the original Uncle Rico in Rico Dowdle. Since week 7, Chuba is seeing more of the snaps. Rico is the guy rushing the ball, and then Chuba is going to get the receiving work. Ultimately, it's like, all right, we've got this split backfield on a bad team. Like, what can we really do? If they have a favorable matchup, like they had against the Dolphins, for instance, then you feel good about Rico. But ultimately, this backfield is looking a lot worse than it might have a couple of weeks ago.
For no question, but again, just him saying we cannot ignore the fact that Rico has been exceptional. That's his way of saying, we need to get the ball Rico Dowdle more. Tom Garrett on Twitter, X has meant a lot to the organization as a kiss of death. Someone who has Rico. I love it. Dave Connells is trying to win football games out here. And, and so listen, is it a tough matchup against Green Bay? Absolutely. Do we think Chuba Hubbard just goes completely away? No, we don't. You're obviously not starting Chuba Hubbard, but I am, again, reluctantly keeping it up on Rico Dowdle. He's my running back 22 this week. He's averaging almost 6 yards per carry this year. We've seen him in games where it's been negative, where they're still running the ball. He's involved as a pass catcher, like they're not scared to dump off the ball to him. So I get that the last 2 games have been bad, but assuming he plays more snaps, right? Last couple of games, it's been like sort of 55-45, 60-40 kind of, Hubbard playing more snaps than Dowdle being more effective. I think that switches this week based on Connells and the eye test and rational thought. Yep. We love the Chubler here, but, facts are facts.
They're fans of the Chubler. Love is a strong term.
Really bad last week.
We're fond of the Chubler. There's more of a fondness than an overbearing love.
Yeah. Our next running back, Jordan Mason, he's got the Lions. He has not had a game with 75-plus scrimmage yards since week 3 right now. Matthew, is this a player that you could even think about starting?
I'm closing it out. He's my running back 36. That Vikings offensive line, guys, is
injured.
Thank God for the Cincinnati Bengals, because if it wasn't for the Cincinnati Bengals, the Vikings might have the worst offensive line in football currently. Yes, it has been incredibly injured as well. And so you think about Aaron Jones being back last week, season lows in touches and snaps. He had only 5 touches, played 34% of the snaps. Now, that game got away from them quickly. Jones is more the pass catcher, and the offensive line just wasn't getting anything done. But in qualified running backs and fantasy points per touch, Jordan Mason ranks 42nd this week. 8.5-point underdogs to the Lions. If there's a way to attack the Lions defense, I feel like the secondary is much weaker than that front 7, which is pretty good against the run here. We also don't know what this offense looks like under J.J. McCarthy. Can't be that much worse than Carson Wentz, but there's so many question marks there that ideally you're looking elsewhere than starting Jordan Mason. I'm closing it out.
Yep. Last week, Connor, I vowed on the show to be the one who gets to the bottom of the J.J. McCarthy story. Unfortunately, I didn't. I don't have any answers.
You are not Pablo Torre.
So, unfortunately,
you are no Pablo Torre, right?
Unfortunately, Pablo Torre will remain the number 1 Asian insider reporting on sports stories. I may not even crack the list at all, but I do think it is super interesting, what is this offense going to look like with J.J. McCarthy? Is he going to be good? Is he going to be the worst quarterback in the NFL?
Right.
I'm ready for anything.
Is he going to run coming off another injury? Because that's a big part of his game in fantasy for us.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't know.
So, I think that the most likely outcome is that this offense doesn't look very good. And they're 8.5-point dogs in Detroit, so it doesn't bode well for game script. And McCarthy, when we last saw him, he did not look particularly good against the Falcons.
How about a new wrinkle to keep it open or close it out? To the wall, asking, do we keep Marvin Harrison Jr. up or do we take him down?
Yeah, so there you go. We obviously have a bunch of fantasy superstars on the wall. There's Marvin Harrison Jr., his number 18. We appreciate that. By the way, this is all thanks to our friends at Fanatics. They provide us with all these jerseys, so thank you so much. That's a pretty good row. You see Josh Allen, my guy 8, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, been up and down for him. Harrison, Ladd McConkey, slow start. McCaffrey, it's been tough with Brock Bowers there. There's a couple other questionable ones there as you keep going down, but Cam Ward. Travis Hunter, Mark Andrews. It's been a tough. So not everyone is wall worthy. So we should talk about whether or not all these guys should in fact stay on the wall. But let's talk here about Marvin Harrison Jr. Guys real quickly. And what I'll say is that I say he does stay on the wall. I'm keeping it open this week. Wide receiver 24 for me. Look, it's the matchup against the Cowboys, right? 17 fantasy points to a wide receiver. That's what the Cowboys have allowed in 6 of their past 7 games. So if you're telling me an Arizona wide receiver is scoring 17 fantasy points in this game, I think it's a pretty good chance it's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. No team in the NFL has allowed more touchdowns on deep passes than the Dallas Cowboys. And so Harrison, who over 40% of his targets this year have come on deep passes, so whether it's Jacoby Brissett or Kyler Murray, actually I think I might be kind of rooting for Jacoby Brissett, but either way, I think Marvin Harrison, given the matchup and the volume, and hopefully off the bye, they figured a few things out here. MHA is just too talented, Connor, for me to close that out. I think he's a high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2 this week.
And I think he's looked better this year just by the eye test. Obviously, the concussion, and he had some early drops out of the gate this season. But since turning it around early in the season, he just looks physically better. And it's just about opportunity in terms of if Kyler Murray plays, like, are they ever in rhythm? So, I mean, this matchup, how could you sit a number 1 wide receiver against the Dallas defense? You can't.
No, they just made Bo Nix look like Tom Brady. Like
Troy Franklin
lining him up. The defense just doesn't have any ceiling, any upside in Dallas, and there's no reason to think that Arizona won't put up points in that game.
All right, our next one, Quentin Johnston, guys. You started Quentin Johnston last week. Yep. You got a goose egg, 30 total receiving yards in 2 games since returning. He's got the Titans, if we're looking for some consolation here, Jay. The problem is the Chargers just have so many options, especially with Oronde Gadsden getting targets now.
Yeah, QJ's got an Oronde Gadsden problem. He's got a Ladd McConkey problem, who's really turned the corner the past month. He's also got a Tennessee Titans problem, where the Titans aren't particularly good. The Colts didn't have to throw the ball basically at all in the second half. The Chargers are on the road, around double-digit favorites. The line's been bouncing around 9.5 to 10, so probably not going to throw that much. If they do throw it, it's probably going to be to other people. So Quentin Johnston, I think the injury must be a real thing that's slowed him down, or at least took him out of his rhythm, and he's trying to get back to it. So for now, I don't think you can start Quentin Johnston.
I agree with you. I'm closing it out. He's my wide receiver 34 on the week as we sit here on Wednesday. To your point about not throwing to him, he's got a 9% target share over the last 3 games. 9%. Compared with, you think of the first 4 games of the season, he had a 25% target share. So they're just not looking for him. And most importantly, they're not looking for him when they get in close. In 3 of the past 4 games, he hasn't even seen a red zone target or an end zone target, let alone catching a touchdown. And so to your point, Chargers heavy favorites here. Gadsden, McConkey coming on. Keenan Allen always has his role. Probably it's a big Kimani Vidal game as well. Cam Ward hasn't looked good. You can see the defense getting a cheap score potentially here. So I just don't imagine how, especially after last week, how you could start QJ until you see some production on the field.
Yep.
Our next wide receiver guy is Stefon Diggs against the tough Falcons passing defense. Of course, with Diggs, he's made the most of his opportunities, Matthew, but only 5 or fewer targets in 2 of his past 3 games. We've seen more Kayshon Boutte for Drake May and some other guys stepping up.
Yeah, he has. I mean, you've seen some of those other guys there, but there's still been some of it. Like, if you look at over the last 5 games, he's basically almost got a 30% target share. He's had at least a 22% target share in every game but 1 over that span. So even though Boutte may make the kind of the highlight plays, we've seen Pop Douglas actually make a couple of interesting plays over the past couple of weeks, Diggs is still involved. And so I'm just sort of a believer in the talent. I'm a believer in Drake May. I don't hate the matchup. Falcons have a pretty good secondary, but feels like they got a little bit exposed last week. Diggs is a pro as well. And so I'm at wide receiver 26. So I'm as a mid-tier wide receiver 3. So I get the concerns that Connor brings up about some of the other pass catchers there in New England. But I'm keeping it open. I'm keeping it up with Diggsy.
And I think with the bye weeks, Jay, it's hard to imagine someone being able to bench Stefon Diggs this week.
Exactly. The irony is, for a team that won 4 games last year, Diggs' problem is the Patriots are too good. Like, they keep blowing teams out, and they're not having to throw. In the game where they really did need to throw against the Bills, Diggs was incredible and had almost 150 receiving yards. I still think that the talent is there. He had that pass called back against the Saints a couple of weeks ago. His game log looks a lot better if he gets that one. And the 7 of 69 against the Titans shows that he's not trending too badly in the wrong direction. Gets in the end zone against the Browns for his first touchdown. But no, I'm keeping it open on Stefon Diggs against the Atlanta defense that looks a lot less intimidating than it did a couple years ago. But I mean, the fact that the Patriots are now inching towards 6.5-point favorites over the Falcons, I don't think people have maybe fully grasped. Like, the Patriots, the 2 teams, I think. Now, no one can join me on the Colts. It's too late there because I was on the bandwagon early. So you can't join me on the Colts.
You've closed down the bandwagon.
Yeah, I've closed down the bandwagon.
That's fair.
We're taking
very fair.
No more passengers. I am the Colts man. No one else can be the Colts man. If you wanted to get another team, though, that could be the next Colts, your 2 candidates, Patriots and Seahawks, who I think are both they're both in like the 30-1 range to win the Super Bowl, which again 3 times longer than the Colts price now at this point. But I think those 2 teams, I would not be shocked if either of those teams made the Super Bowl, which is pretty stunning from where we were at the start of the season.
Yeah, I totally buy that. I mean, I will say, it's a little rich for you, who jumps from team to team to team.
shut down a bandwagon?
To shut down other bandwagon jumpers. Like saying, I'm the only one that can do it.
I am. The Colts are mine.
Yeah.
I've been spoken
No,
for.
you were early-ish on the Colts bandwagon.
Absolutely.
So,
That is your Mona Lisa, I would say.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I mean, like
amongst the Saints, Giants.
I was just gonna say, like, it's your third bandwagon this year.
Yeah, the Giants were kind of thrust upon me. I don't subscribe to that nonsense. The Saints
I
and
was held
Bengals, I'll agree, were bad calls. But let me tell you, the Bengals, they were so close to winning the AFC. If we'd just beaten the Jets last week, we'd be
winless Jets.
We'd be right on the path. But alas, merely a Colts man with some side flings with the Patriots and the Seahawks.
All right. Fair enough.
Fair enough, Jay. Back to the wall, and on a player that was once fantasy greatness in Mark Andrews, but no longer. One game this season, Matthew, with more than 34 receiving yards.
Yeah, only 2 games with more than 6.6 fantasy points, right? He's got a 68% route participation this year. That is 20th among tight ends. You see him right there on the wall. We love Mark Andrews. He's been a fantasy superstar for many, many years. He's a friend of the show. He's a friend of the podcast. Jay, you and I have interviewed him. We liked him a lot.
He's a very nice man.
A very nice man. Big guy. He's a
Which is surprising because he's a tight end in the NFL.
Right.
So you wouldn't expect that.
No,
I was expecting more of a Brashad Smith type operator, but he's actually quite big and strong.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he was standing next to Connor, but he's a big
there.
dude. Either way, Jay Croucher. So we love Mark Andrews. It gives us no pleasure whatsoever to say this, but I'm closing it out. He's my tight end 16 this week. I'm closing it out. And what I would also say here, Connor, is you see it there on my ranks, right? He's behind Theo Johnson. Speaking of the of your Giants, Jay. Behind
Didn't even
Evan
know
Ingram.
Dalton Kincaid was playing this year. Did not know
Kincaid.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Just a few spots ahead of Colston Loveland, who's done nothing this year. It's been a tough scene for Mark Andrews.
It really has.
You're desperately hoping Lamar Jackson comes back, which we expect, and that he finds Mark Andrews in the end zone. That's really all. He's a touchdown-dependent tight end, too. Like, it's just, again, there's only 2 games this year where he's gotten you at least 7 fantasy points. Like, it's been a tough row to hoe for Mark Andrews. But again, what I would ask here if I can ask the regulars a question,
if
you don't mind.
They want a Tyler Warren jersey in place.
That's my question. What do we do? Right, you think it's Tyler Warren?
Well, that's what the chat wants. I just speak for the chat.
You understand?
I run a democracy.
You do.
Connor is a mere vessel for the chat.
Yes.
But listen, like I said, all of our jerseys come to us courtesy and thanks to our friends at Fanatics, and so I do think we need to replace Mark Andrews with a jersey. And so the question becomes from the regulars, who are they suggesting?
A lot of love for Tucker Kraft and Tyler Warren, which I think tight end for a tight end is a good idea.
Yeah,
so you have some balance on the wall.
Yep.
But we do have a jersey that does need to come off the bench, and that is Chris Olave, because Chris Olave has been great this year. And as we said, this is a democracy. There are more options than just Mark Andrews.
Okay.
We have the options are to replace, and the regulars get to decide this.
Okay. Oh wow. So Chris Olave's coming off the bench.
Yes.
And so the question is on Chris Olave.
Mark Andrews,
who's by the way a top 16 fantasy wide receiver this year in points per game. He's top 5 in the NFL in targets and receptions. Chris Olave's had a great year.
Needs to be back on the wall.
Merchant. Needs to be back on the wall. He's earned. So just Mark Andrews or whoever it is that goes away, just, there's a way to get back onto the wall. Just because you're being banished to a closet doesn't mean that you can't.
The wall's a front runner. I want to make this very clear. Like, when the times are good, you're on the wall.
Yeah.
But we'll rip you off the wall as soon as things go
You know
bad.
what we should do, Connor, me and you? We should name the wall Jay.
Right.
Because
bandwagon wall.
Bandwagon wall. It's like
it is a
Jay. It's
bandwagon
like,
wall.
oh, exactly.
Right.
It's like, he was a Bengals guy. He was a Saints guy. Now he's a Colts man.
It's very fitting Tyler
He's
Warren
cheap.
could be a replacement
But if the
one
Colts
day.
lose 2 in a row, then he's all in on the Seahawks.
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't want to lose to Pittsburgh this weekend in Indianapolis. Don't test me.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't test me.
So Jay, we're calling J2.
Yeah, the J wall.
The J wall.
Right.
Anyway, so you have a chance to get onto the wall. The wall is a bunch of front runners. So we're putting Chris Olave back on the wall. So here's the question, Connor. Go ahead and read. What are the options?
Which jersey spot should he take? Because it's not just Mark Andrews. The options are Andrews, C.J. Stroud, who's coming off a much, much better week.
Might have saved himself.
Cam Ward, who it's been a tough rookie season, but we know how bad things are in Tennessee. And who's that under him?
That's mine. That's my jersey.
Matthew Berry is an option on the poll.
Number 29.
Yes. So this is
Why are
the
you
poll.
29?
Because my birthday is the 29th.
Oh, nice. There we go.
My birthday is the 29th. My wife and I were married on the 29th.
Okay.
Has to be
We were
the
married.
number.
I'm born on December 29th, and my wife and I were married on May 29th. If anyone out there would like to get us something nice, feel free.
But stunning. That's
or
not a
celebrate.
69 Matthew Berry
Right?
jersey.
You'd think.
Stunner.
Missed a layup there, but that's why. So 29's a
Okay.
meaningful number to me.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Okay.
I have a daughter born on the 29th too. And I will say it is.
That was the other reason why.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
exactly.
Ella's birthday.
Ella's birthday, right.
Yeah, and also it is a democracy unless you choose wrong. And at
Right,
which
then
point
we
we
choose
will
for you.
relapse into dictatorship
Yes.
and we'll choose the correct answer.
Right.
Yeah.
So the
It's like
poll is
some
in the
of those-
chat right now.
Yeah. So
And,
go ahead,
yeah.
regulars. We'd love your vote. But it is sometimes you see like the All-Star game. Like, there's fan voting, but
Yeah.
then there's also like a committee vote, and it doesn't matter. Like,
No.
they try to stuff the ballot box and then somebody else.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Just appeasing the audience.
If you guys vote Andrew Wiggins to start the All-Star game again, we're overruling it.
Yes.
Yeah. And Steph Curry gets the nod.
My favorite version of all that was, and I forget, I think it was in England, but some organization, they were getting a ship. They were literally getting a ship, and so they said to their fans or whatever, their followers on social media, what should we name this ship? I think it's for a science museum or something like that. I forget this. And somebody suggested, and it ended up winning by like 1 million votes or something. Like it was Bodie McBoatface, which is the greatest name of all time.
Did they go through with it?
I think they overruled it. But I mean, but somebody, producer Damien, do me a favor, do the research on that. Like Bodie McBoatface. But I just remember that was the name. I forget if it actually ended up winning, but I know that won for quite a bit. But Bodie McBoatface is the greatest name of all time.
K Gemma in the chat, speaking our language. Backup Pete, not even backup producer Pete. Backup Pete is a slime ball. Put up a poll in the live chat. He directs traffic to his Twitter.
Oh, that's why he's not even the number one Pete. He's a backup Pete. Forget backup producer. He's just backup Pete. He's like right.
Were you behind Pete Alonso? What's going on here?
Yeah,
There's
right
a lot
in
of
the
Pete's
Pete's.
in front of him. Shout out my buddy Pete Gravelding. He's behind him.
Pistol Pete.
Pistol Pete.
Pete Werner on the
Yeah.
Saints.
Oh, wow, that's a good cut.
Pete
Wow.
Rose. Pete Rose. What Pete Rose did is not nearly as egregious as what Pete Tomilatis is doing right here in the chat. So there you go.
Lots of Pete's.
To recap, keep it open or close it out for Week 9. Jared Goff is QB 18. That's a close. Travis Etienne Jr. stays open as a top 20 player. Rico Dowdle, RB 22. Hopefully the Panthers give him more opportunity so he stays open. Jordan Mason's a close at RB 36. Marvin Harrison Jr. Great matchup against Dallas. He's open, as is Stefon Diggs against the Falcons. Quentin Johnston, though, at wide receiver 34 is a close. There's just too many options, and it's not going to be a good game script for the Chargers to throw the ball. And then Mark Andrews, of course, at tight end 16. He has not been very productive this year. That's a close. We're going to take our first break. When we're back, the poll will keep rolling, so you can keep voting while we're on our break. But blind date is next, and then we'll see which jersey will be removed from the wall. All right, the results are in. Matthew survives on the wall, as does Cam Ward. I never thought C.J. Stroud was coming off the wall after playing.
No, definitely not. But Cam Ward, I mean, Mark Andrews has at least been a fantasy superstar. Cam Ward never has been. Candidly, 30% of the vote, screw you guys. You know, that's a little bit too close for comfort.
It was.
To be honest with you.
Almost went down.
Yeah.
But you could have overruled it.
I would have overruled
So it doesn't matter.
But it's the principle of the matter.
Right.
You know, I would have liked to have had less of a vote than Cam Ward.
That's not a great look.
Honestly,
Who's done more for fantasy?
Who's helped fantasy players
The
more?
chat has spoken.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Animals, all of you animals. All right, but anyway, sorry, Mark Andrews. We appreciate you. We love you. Again,
You can always make it back on the wall.
You
It's
can
not
always
over.
get back on the wall. Hopefully this motivates you and Lamar to get you back on the wall. But here comes Cam.
Here comes Cam.
Our beloved stage
done, Cam.
manager here. Now the pomp, the circumstance of this, how this all happens.
You guys should have seen Cam pre-show.
man.
He was practicing how to put his
Yes,
coats up.
look at this.
It's great.
Yeah, look at
very
this.
good. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like just the magic. We're going behind the scenes to see how we've got like hangers,
It's
how like
unbelievable.
low
This
rent
is like,
this is.
It's like Daniel Day-Lewis in Phantom Thread. The touch there.
There
It's
you go.
Very nice,
there he
Cam.
is. Thank
Well
you,
done,
Cam.
Cam.
Well done, Cam.
Appreciate you. Welcome to the wall, Chris Olave. Candidly, while we like Chris Olave, pan back out for a second there. Olave being right there next to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jaden Daniels, my ride or die Amari in Hampton. You know, you do have Jonathan Taylor there, but like some of these, Chris Olave should not be that close. And then you think about like CeeDee Lamb, right? Chris Olave, by the way, does in fact drink for free. Congratulations on being on the wall. But I'm just sitting here. We're gonna have to do a little bit more rearranging. Feels like
Jonathan Taylor needs better real estate.
That's 100% right.
That's my personal gripe.
I mean, Josh Allen and CeeDee Lamb need better real estate than Chris Olave. Come on. And C.J. Stroud, that's a little too. C.J. Stroud should not be next to Jamar Chase.
No, he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Breece Hall, he might be on his way.
Yeah,
We'll see. He's been
We'll see
all
where
right.
it go.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
Jalen
jersey might
Hurts,
be different.
You can see it if you look way down in the corner there. There's Jalen Hurts. Come on, that's stupid. Like, Jalen Hurts needs to be higher up.
Yeah,
Like,
we should swap out Hurts for Stroud.
Well, A.J. Brown moved his jersey down there.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So
and we should put a little book in front of it.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
perfect
funny.
for
I
A.J.
did see
Brown.
A.J. Brown in here last night at 8:30 p.m.
Yeah, so that's why his jersey's in prime real estate, and Jalen
Prime real
Hurts is
estate.
all the way down
Very
there.
sneaky
Yeah.
A.J.
Trey McBride and Devon
Your old
Achane
devil.
way in the back there next to. We gotta look at this. We're open to suggestions on what the order
Yes.
should be in the chat.
And
All right.
what jerseys we need. So keep those rolling in the chat as
All
well.
right. It is time once again for Blind Date, boys. You guys crushed this segment, much to my chagrin. I always think that I've come up with, me and the producers have come up with good ones to fool you guys, but we have not done that so far. If you're new to the segment, of course, as you know, bars are somewhere where people go to experience blind dates, and once again, Jay and Connor are going to do that. So I'd like to talk to you at first about a running back here who's had kind of two different parts of the season. Right here, as we let's pull up the graphic here. So here you go. So obviously, first 5 weeks of the season, somebody was touching the ball a lot. 76% designed rush share as well, a utilization score of 74. But so he was getting a lot of work, but just not particularly very good. Over 16 touches a game, averaging single-digit fantasy points per game. But the last 3 weeks, been pretty good. All right, so he's averaging over 15.5 fantasy points per game. 74 rushing yards per game, but weirdly, he's got less of a designed rush share, 57% on the designed rush rate over the last 3 weeks. So
Chase Brown?
I was going to say Chase Brown's looking at the leading rushers in the league.
very smart.
Samaje
Look
Perine
at
show
Samaje
now.
That's exactly right. So this is over the last 3 weeks. Since Joe Flacco has comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco has become the starting quarterback here. And to your point, while it's weird, the production has been better because the offense has been better and he's been getting some touchdowns. He's not being used nearly as much because they pass so much and because they like Samaje Perine in that role.
Yeah, it was very evident even when Chase Brown was breaking off some big runs that they weren't getting away from Perine, especially when they get across the 50. They kind of like Perine's bruiser mentality. So it's good that Brown's been productive, but I don't think the usage is going to change at all. I think they're going to keep playing Perine, not half the snaps, but close to it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I still think Chase Brown, again, assuming Joe Flacco continues to play, we have some Rotoworld Player news here. Did you guys talk about that at the top of the show? But Joe Flacco, his status for this Sunday's game in jeopardy. He's dealing with a shoulder AC joint issue.
Which he did almost miss the last drive.
Yeah.
He ran to the locker room. Jake Browning was going to play that drive, and
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I'm trying to see what the
we can't do
who
Jake
reported
Browning.
that.
That's very concerning.
But
very concerning.
yeah, I saw a tweet about that coming in, so I want to give proper credit to whoever that is.
Oh, it was fun. Bengals. Why it lasted for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So
The AFC was almost theirs.
almost theirs. I'm trying to see if does Pro Football Talk have it? Oh yes, here he goes. Pro Football Talk. Joe Flacco's status for Sunday versus Bears in question with shoulder injury. So there you go. That's Pro Football Talk and many other sources as well. But so I think that assuming Joe Flacco starts, which is no clear assumption, I think Chase Brown again remains kind of a low-end RB2. But again, the offense is better. They're using him more. They're in scoring position more, and they prefer him in scoring position. He's just not involved in the passing game as much recently. All right, here's another running back here. So this is for the entire year. Here's a guy that's like, top 20 in rushing yards. He's obviously a pass catcher, right? He's averaging over 32 receiving yards per game. Guy can't score. His utilization score is 74, so kind of mid-tier RB2, and he's low-end RB2 at 13.6 fantasy points per game. Any idea who this running back is?
So a ton of usage, no touchdowns. Is it Ken Walker?
It is not Ken Walker. That's a good guess.
Jaylen Warren.
Look at you, 2 for 2. It is, in fact, Jaylen Warren. The receiving yards per game should have been a key there, Jay, as well. But, yeah, again, I think this goes to show how good Jaylen Warren has been. So he's 18th in the NFL in fantasy points per game. Of course, he missed a couple of games with the injury. But 18th in the NFL, and he's only scored basically one touchdown.
Yeah, he never scores. So that was the giveaway to me.
So you figure positive touchdown regression is coming to Jaylen Warren, right? As
he
well.
Looks awesome.
Yes.
You watch Jaylen Warren play, and you're like, this guy creates more missed tackles than most backs in the league, especially in the pass game.
Yes. Now, they're home to your Colts, Jay. Then they're at the Chargers, home to Cincinnati, at Chicago. The Colts are going to be tough, but the 3 after that, all those teams you can run on, despite what we saw the Chargers do last week. I think that was more a function of the Vikings' offensive line than it was that the Chargers suddenly are really good against the run. All right, let's look at one more running back here. This is a running back again since week 6, as you see it right there. So just a couple of games, last 3 weeks. This is somebody who is, top 10 in the NFL in touches per game, rushing yards per game, utilization score. Not really involved in the passing game, merely just 28th in receptions per game. But, top 10 fantasy running back over the last 3 weeks.
Kyren Williams?
It is not Kyren Williams.
Would this be Javonte Williams?
It is not Javonte Williams. It is, in fact, Kimani Vidal.
Wow.
Kimani Vidal. And before we discuss Kimani Vidal, Coach Jim Harbaugh was asked recently to assess the rookies and how they're playing. Watch this clip.
But Rondé Gadsden, of course, has been great. Trey Harris, R.J. Mickens, really coming on strong, and Kimani Vidal playing like a number 1 running back, not just on our team in the NFL. He's been playing like a number 1 running back in the entire league. And then some more opportunities possibly to come this week.
So what's interesting there, Connor, is Kimani Vidal's not a rookie.
No, I know. That's why when you said he was asked about the rookies, I was like, does anyone know? But clearly.
That's what he was asked, though, and you can see, he talks about Rondé Gadsden. And the other hilarious part about that clip is he goes, Rondé Gadsden's coming on, Trey Harris, R.J. Mickens.
Yeah.
He just literally says Trey Harris's name. He says nothing about Trey Harris.
He just stared off into the.
Right, just trying to think through who are rookies on my team.
Right.
And so he does say, Kimani Vidal is playing very well, playing like a number 1 running back in the NFL, more opportunities coming for him this week, all of which is exciting, except for the fact that it's hilariously, not a rookie. Now, maybe he was thinking Amarian Hampton obviously is a rookie, and he's hurt, and Vidal is filling in for it, so maybe that's where the brain synapse went there as well. But, yeah, look, he's been – the point is over the last 3 weeks, since Amarian Hampton went down, he's just gotten running RB1 usage, almost 20 touches per game. I know he had the one game where he didn't really have a bunch of fantasy points, but Miami, a couple of weeks ago, and then this last week against the Vikings, he's been great. And the expectation here is in a game against Tennessee that we talked about earlier with QJ, where they're, almost double-digit favorites, Vidal should be in for a heavy workload.
Yep, absolutely. Getting Joe Alt back just fixes so many issues. Like Justin Herbert now, he's still going to be under siege, still no great offensive line, but now he has a chance to actually live, and it can be a much more functional offense.
All right, let's Valiant Vincent here.
Valiant Vincent in the chat asking or saying Harbaugh looks like an accountant who accidentally got hired as a head coach and he's too deep to back out now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like a movie. It's like
the accidental coach.
Yes, there it is. Great title. Who's directing
What
that?
is it? The
accidental
coach.
Yeah.
That's a great one. And by the way, I'll tell you, that kind of movie, that's not like a real movie. That's like a made-for-TV.
Yeah, very tight release.
Yeah. It's like,
it appears in theaters.
yeah. It's
Streaming.
That's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say where it's streaming, but it's streaming.
Exactly. I don't want to insult anyone.
No. It follows American Pie 8.
Yes.
Right.
Then you
Exactly. But it just feels like, one of those, like.
Or a Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile
3.
Dundee, 3, 100%. There was a Whoopi Goldberg movie called Eddie. Where she somehow won a coach. She became the coach of the Knicks somehow.
Yes,
like
a wild one.
Wild one as well.
Great script. It just didn't land.
Yeah, I'm surprised Connor is a member of the New York media because there were certainly cameos by other members of the New York media.
Yeah, they didn't invite me for that one.
If you go back and watch that,
I'm going to be in Eddie too.
Yeah, fair enough. Todd Zeal's in that movie.
Now.
You should go look.
Yes, he's the lead.
Yeah, go look.
Shocking. Todd Zeal's the lead. I'm the second, the co-star.
Yeah.
Todd Zeal beats Michael Jordan in the one-on-one.
Let's go to a wide receiver now here for our blind date. Here, this is somebody that's significant in terms of, for the season, right? This guy's top 10 in target share and receiving yards per game, top 20 in utilization score. Obviously, this is all close to the line of scrimmage stuff because his average up the target is 50th in the NFL. But any idea and by the way, just a mid-tier wide receiver 3 at 25th in fantasy points per game. Any ideas on who this wide receiver is? Again, this is somebody who gets a gets a lot of targets, gets a lot of yards, but just hasn't turned into big time fantasy production. It is not Justin Jefferson.
I don't know. I'm drawing dead on this one.
Zay Flowers is your answer right here. It's look, the thing on Zay Flowers is, again, like he's gotten a little bit unlucky, and you've obviously had, Lamar's missed a few games, but I think the underlying numbers on Zay Flowers are much better than you might think. Again, a 30% target share for the Ravens, right? He's got almost 70 receiving yards per game. Touchdowns haven't been there, and that's never been a big part of his game, but there's potentially a buy low opportunity on Zay Flowers with Lamar coming back. The overall numbers don't look great, but we think he's more talented than maybe what the production shows so far. Yeah,
because we've seen it before, right? And just the connection he has with Lamar when the play breaks down. Lamar runs around for 8 seconds, and Zay can kind of create. So better times ahead for Zay Flowers.
All right, one more wide receiver here as we finish off blind date. So somebody that just doesn't have a huge target share, 4 receptions per game. Utilization isn't great, right? 26, which is fine, but nothing amazing. Averaging 67 receiving yards per game. And this is over the last 3 games, by the way.
DK Metcalf?
It is not.
Alec Pierce?
It is not. By the way, the graphics is 2025 season, but these ranks are actually over the last 3 games, just to be clear.
Oh, well, that's why we got it wrong.
Yeah.
And I refuse to give a substitute answer now that we have the correct information.
The chat, and this would have been my second guess, it says Keyshawn Boutte.
That's also a great
Really
guess.
good
It
guess.
is none of those. It is T. Higgins.
Good.
Actually, it is T. Higgins. It's sort of interesting, obviously, because again, Flacco has been so good for the production, but it's been weird that it's so Jamar Chase centric versus. Right. I mean, again, not that T. Higgins is as good as Jamar Chase, but like T. Higgins is pretty good, and they paid him a lot of money.
Yeah.
4 catches a game.
Yeah.
Was it like 19 targets to 4 last week or something insane?
He had the one deep catch, and that was it.
He's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that Jamar Chase only got 91 receiving yards on 19 targets isn't a great sign for that offense.
And you know what his prop was?
It was 85.
89 and a half.
Yeah, he overcashed.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So that concludes blind date.
Nicely done.
For week, what are we in, 9?
Yeah.
No, week 9.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed.
Nice.
It's officially spooky season at the happy hour, and we
yes.
want to see your costumes. Post your fits using the hashtag FFHHalloween, and we'll post them on Friday. There's one nominee over here.
Look at this. This guy, this made me laugh hard. This is Holly Mark 323.
It's the J costume.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Counterfeit WNBA jersey, a can of Foster's,
Right.
and the optional accessories losing futures tickets.
Yeah, which is that's the key thing. You losing future tickets. I feel like that Foster's might have been AI. I feel
There's
like
a lot going on in this photo. It's quite kind of scary when you think about it.
Yeah, I zoomed in and I wish I didn't.
But it's a great.
it's fantastic.
Yeah, but great creativity.
Very creative. It's clearly, Mark H is a regular. Gets all the
gets
inside jokes as well. So appreciate you, Mark H. We might see you on the Power Rankings this Friday. Everyone else, we'd love to see your fantasy football happy hour inspired costumes. Use the hashtag FFHH Halloween.
All right, we're going to take one last break. When we're back to the futures, our favorite awards and future bets right after this.
But like.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the app and use promo code FFHH when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook.
The crown is yours.
yours.
The crown is mine. Or the crown is yours.
The crown is mine.
The crown is yours.
Back to the futures. Jay, what do you got for us this week?
Okay, well, we've got a bit of time in this segment, so let's go through the Defensive Rookie of the Year odds. Abdul Carter is the favorite at plus 150. He has half a sack in 8 games.
I don't get why. I feel like he's the favorite because of his name value. Like, he has not had the impact that a lot of other defensive rookies have had this year. He's been fine.
He's
but
got
like
pressures.
Ezeiruaku's coming, Jay. I'm with you. I like it.
Donovan Ezeiruaku, who, yes, the Cowboys' defense isn't great. Ezeiruaku only has the 1 sack. But his numbers, his underlying stats, the past 5 weeks as he's gotten more run have been fantastic. His PFF pass rush grade, neck and neck with Abdul Carter. He is generating pressures as well. His pass rush win rate, everything, it's very good as Ezeiruaku. So if you can tie your own shoes and count to 6, you shouldn't be 25-1 in this market. Like, Jahad Campbell has been benched for Nakobe Dean. Right. Nick Emenwari, what are we doing? Like, who?
Will Johnson's had a nice year.
Well, Swessinger has a high ankle.
Yeah,
he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, so
it's a weird board.
Ezeiruaku and Will Johnson would be my long shots in this match.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Will Johnson's just had a really nice year, I think.
Yeah, second-round pick that fell only because of injury, and I like that a lot. Matthew, what do you got?
You know what? I agree with Jay. I am jumping on the bandwagon of the Seattle Seahawks.
Welcome.
The Seahawks plus 220 to win the NFC West. Look, the Rams are obviously a very good team, but they're like 2 injuries away from being done, right? I mean, they don't have a ton of depth. Like, it's really it's Puka, it's Stafford, and it's Devontae Adams and Kyron. So I guess they got 4 guys in that offense, and one of them's already hurt. And so you can see a scenario where the Seahawks defense is great. They get out of the bye early. They've got my Commanders this Sunday night on NBC. I think they win that game easily. So this is a good team. It's a really good defense. Darnold's playing at a high level. We're seeing Jackson Smith and Jigba become a superstar in this league before our very eyes. Give me the Seahawks to win the NFC West at plus 220.
Yeah, I like that. My numbers have Seattle plus 200 fair to win the division, so I agree with the bet. A little surprised that the Seahawks are -3 in Washington. Like, that's a lot of points for the Seahawks. Like, Jaylen Daniels is expected to play.
Yeah, and cross-country travel.
Yeah, I have to assume desperate Commanders team too as well, but I have to believe that they just think. I mean, the Commanders defense, it's not good to begin with, and then it's gotten really banged up over the last couple of weeks. So I think they just feel like Seattle off the bye, they're probably fresh. Maybe they can do that. But
still, it's like Jayden Daniels at home is a 3-point dog against. I know Sam Darnold's been amazing this year, but I was surprised. I thought that would be closer to pick.
Yeah. Which is fair.
Regretfully, guys, I'm going to jump into the comeback player of the year market. It's never let us down.
How about let us down.
Come in. The water is cold.
Hutchinson, plus 450.
Oh, that's a nice one, yeah.
Dak's been awesome. McCaffrey's been awesome. They're the front runners for this award right now. But Hutchinson, there's such a gap. They're in the plus 100s. Hutchinson's plus 450. He's got 48 pressures and 6 sacks already, and the Lions are a great team. So if you want to give a great player, who just got a massive extension today, by the way, on a great team this award, plus 450 seems very long, Jay. I would think closer to plus 300.
I think that Hutch, CMC, and Dak all have a similar probability of winning the award. I think because the Cowboys are now very unlikely to make the playoffs. Christian McCaffrey, it looks like that Falcons game was a bit of an outlier in terms of his efficiency. The Niners' schedule is easy, so I think McCaffrey may end up winning, but I think Hutch, I agree, he should be shorter than plus 450.
It's always the argument you make that, these are awards that aren't necessarily statistically based. They're based, voters are making these awards. It's not like something, it's not who's going to lead the NFL in receiving yards, which is black and white, right? Yeah. This is just, so there's somewhat of emotion that goes into this, so you have to sort of think through it, and it's kind of like, it's why Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year, even though Kyle Shanahan and honestly Pete Carroll that year in Seattle both, it far exceeded their preseason win total more than Daboll. But Daboll, New York Giants, first year, they were a mess before. It was an emotional thing, and he's part of the New York media. So to your point about Hutchinson, I think that the voters are going to want to reward the Detroit Lions for their season somehow. And
where else can you?
Goff's not winning Offensive Player of the Year or MVP, right? I don't think Amon-Ra's. Maybe Gibbs gets there, but I think it's hard when you think about what Jonathan Taylor's doing.
Other guys is Hutchinson for Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
By the way, I just want this on record, and we will never refer to it back after it crashes and burns this week. J.J. McCarthy shouldn't be 100-1 for that award if the Vikings are 10-1 to make the playoffs. I'm just saying, there's a chance. Outlier.
It's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here for Jay and Connor. We'll be back tomorrow. Peace out.